Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I see a lot of folks are popping up. We are going to give everyone a minute or two to just kind of settle in, get ready. If you want to grab coffee or tea or just get ready for the session, please do so. And we will be starting in a minute or so. We're so excited for everyone to join this session. Laura and I not going to be able to see you, but if you can share with us where you're joining from, what affiliate or what part of the country you're joining us today, we'd love to kind of see who is here today.
Curious to see if we have any other habitats out there.
Oh. Feel free to pop in. Oh, Habitat Fiji.
Ooh, that's fun.
Wow, Lisa, thank you
Nice.
for joining.
I love it.
Illinois here, Habitat Savannah, Greater
Mhm.
Memphis, Westchester, Habitat in New Jersey. Ooh, I recently moved to New Jersey from New York, so I'm excited to learn all the local affiliates. Kansas City, welcome, welcome. NASA,
Oh, Wausau. Will I be seeing you on Monday? Oh, and Washington, Jefferson. Fantastic. We have our Wisconsin conference for Habitat coming up
that's
here at
right.
Lambeau Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, fantastic.
Mhm.
All right, everyone. Well, please keep, we're in New Jersey. I just moved from, oh, amazing. I just moved to Jersey City. So about a month ago, it didn't have much time to explore yet. Charleston Habitat for Humanity, fantastic, but very curious to like start exploring the area as we settle in. Perfect. All right. Well, everyone, we love the engagement. So please, please, please continue sharing where you're joining from and just communicate with us throughout this session. But we're going to get started. So, once again, thank you so much for joining us today for this speed learning session, fundraising events that works. Maximize impact and ROI for your Habitat affiliate. My name is Yulia Zhernevaya, and I'm the head of strategy and growth at Giveffect. If you're not familiar with Giveffect, we are a nonprofit software platform, and we've been so fortunate to work with a lot of affiliates since the beginning of our company 10 years ago. And we have over 50 affiliates right now in the States. We are partnered together, and we partner and help them to streamline operation, get better fundraising, volunteering, result, marketing, you name it, through a unified platform that has everything from volunteer, donor, partner family management to grants, marketing, you name it. And today I'm so excited to welcome Laura Cerrugi, Director of Philanthropy at Greater Green Bay Habitat for Humanity. So Laura, I'll pass it to you to tell everyone a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm very excited to share kind of what we've been doing up here in Green Bay. Well, I should say Brown County area in general. I have been with Habitat for almost 3 years now, background in corporate, and switched over to the nonprofit side of things. I've always been involved in fundraising, whether it was with the hospitals or Make-A-Wish, and now I realize that's actually a position you can get paid for. So I joined up with Habitat for Humanity and have loved it. We've got a great team here at Greater Green Bay and a lot of fun, exciting things. We're working on developments. We're just coming up with new strategies for our fundraising. We're flipping the script on it and trying some new things and trying to diversify ourselves. And we have over 600 nonprofits in Brown County alone.
Wow.
So standing out is very important in this industry. Just happy to be here and share some of our insights.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm sure, as everyone else on the call, I can wait to get into the details. But before we jump in, just like a couple of housekeeping items for everyone. So, if you're joining us for the second time, we had our first session last week on corporate volunteering. Welcome back. If you're joining for the first time, we're also so happy to have you here. If you missed our session last week, my colleague Tara will be putting a link in a chat. So please feel free after the session to watch that recording as well. It was wonderful. But today we're going to be spending 30 minutes together. It's going to be very quick, but it will be just full with amazing information. Laura and I are going to talk for about 20 minutes, right? And kind of just dive into fundraising events and their journey. And then we're going to have 10 minutes at the end for a live Q&A. So throughout the session, if you have a question, please feel free to pop it in the chat. Or there is also a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So please feel free to utilize that. And also, like every time we have affiliate sessions, it's just so much engagement. So if it's not a question, if you have something to share with everyone, if you have your own kind of advice for everyone when it comes to fundraising events, please feel free to put it in chat as well. But with this being said, let's dive in. And Laura, I was preparing for our conversation, and I was taking a look at Greater Green Bay, and I've noticed that you're affiliated with Giveffect for like 9 years. I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much history. That's fantastic. And I know that there was quite, a history with fundraising events, right? You guys had several key events throughout the year. So first of all, can you kind of take us all on a journey, like from what you've experienced and what what kind of fundraising event transitions your affiliate had throughout the years?
Yeah, absolutely. So, very similar to what most nonprofits do is a gala of some sorts, plated. Uh, you have a speaker, you have a program, you have a live auction, silent auction, whatever it might be. And there's so much work involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with 600 nonprofits in the area, you're competing with everyone. That April time slot is just insane. You feel like you're going back to back with all the different nonprofits. They're all at Lambeau. They've all got 1,000 people there. And yes, granted, they do a great job. They raise a lot of money, but it's very repetitive and it's
Mm-hmm.
always the same people, always the same things. And so we used to do that many years ago, like a hard hat and heels kind of a situation. You're
Mm-hmm.
competing alignment. But about 15 years ago, we actually started our restore here. So in
Okay.
order to get awareness for the restore, we did what was called repurpose for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have anybody who wanted to come in, they can grab an item up to $75 and they would take it and they would give it new life. So whether it was a dresser that they would turn into a bar or like an old record player, like they would transform these fan blades into decorative art for the lawn. Like there were so many fun things that they could do, and they would return them back in October, and we would auction them off. So we use Giveffect for that platform. Of that would be our campaign that we would
Mm-hmm.
post on the Giveffect site, and people could vote and bid and things of that nature. And the sole purpose of it was to get recognition for the restore,
Mm-hmm.
awareness, so people could come in and they could have we partnered with a local brewery so they could have a glass of beer, a glass of wine, and walk around the restore and then
Fun.
see all the options. It was really fun and people loved coming to it. However, the amount of hours that we spent putting into it
Mm-hmm.
did not weigh out the longevity of what we were
Mm-hmm.
grossing and then netting in return. So, COVID was actually our best year of grossing about 50,000 on
Okay.
these items that were all donated back to us. And but after that, it kind of declined because everybody
Mm-hmm.
knew the restore, everybody loved the
Mm-hmm.
restore, and so now we do it a year-long event where people can come in and then
Interesting.
we can feature them that way instead. So instead of a long thing like that, or excuse me, instead of a one-night event, it's throughout the year. I mean, we have our volunteers who are making birdhouses out of some of our
Oh,
that we had. Like Herb, our wonderful 90-year-old volunteer, he just came back and he has the flooring samples that he makes into tic-tac-toe for the homeless shelter.
oh
So
my goodness.
there are
Wow.
so many creative ways that people get involved to come up with fun little things. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be smaller things that we could turn around and share. But
It's so beautiful. And I remember seeing that I started in Give Back about 4 years ago. And I think the first campaign I've seen, I think it was the campaign for their for the auction. during the COVID when you raised 50,000. I remember it just being so beautiful and so unique. I've never seen a campaign like that. And I just remember showing it on so many of my demos. I was like, look at this unique way of fundraising.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to touch, Sue posted, is there a section in your resource where those things are always showcased? I'm sure you'll probably take a tour through a resource when you're here this week. No, we don't auction them off. We actually list them for sale. We're in the process of creating a sponsorship for one sponsor a month instead of like 5 sponsors for one night. So they can sponsor that month of repurposed items. So that way it can be, say, under the TV, and that way the repurposed items of the month are featured under that. So we're still working through some of the logistics, but everybody's asking for it. So that's very exciting. So yeah.
Fantastic. So what was your next step? You had that experience, you had that auction for many years. It did achieve the goal of increasing awareness. And I guess there was a time to make a switch
We
again.
shifted. Yep.
Yeah. How
We
did that
absolutely shifted.
happen? Yeah. Tell us more like what was the thought process behind it?
Yeah, so our amazing executive director, she used to actually work in the tourism industry. So she
Mm,
knows a lot of restaurants, a lot of people in the area. And she and one of the local chefs had a great idea of doing a interactive culinary experience. So what this is, it's not your plated meal. It's not 1,000 people in a big
mm,
atrium. It is a smaller, more intimate event, therefore creating an interactive part to it. We only sell about 150 seats to it,
okay.
$500 a ticket, which is a lot more expensive than anything in the area, and everything is included. But what we decided to do is just feature 5 local chefs. So what they're
Mm,
doing right now is creating a menu for us, and then we're going to blindly pick who we want for this year's theme. So again, I'm going to say it 1,000 times, interactive culinary experience. So we've done bourbon and bluegrass, we've done Italy with vino, and last year was New York, and this year we're just giving it away. It's going to be Havana. So a whole Cuban theme of interactive salsa dances, grabbing you out of your seat. You're going to have a mojito bar. There's going to be like the old vehicles is donated that night by one of the automobile companies. So
wow.
it's going to be a super fun thing. But it's $500 and everything's included.
Mm,
So only 150 seats. Um, but it's a totally different experience because as soon as
mm,
we're done with our previous year, we're starting on our next year of what theme are we going to do in the States or it like international, where are we going to go? But it keeps people guessing, and right around fall, people are asking of, do you have a theme picked out? When are sponsorships available? When is this coming? Like what are we gonna do this
wow.
year? So
Wow,
it's
that's
super
so
fun.
interesting because I think a lot of time you need to appeal as much as possible. We have this event coming up, and the endless email push-ups and so on. But it sounds like you've been able to create experience where now the attendees are actually reaching out to you, sponsors reaching out to you and asking, when is it coming up?
Yeah. And we start at $10,000,
Mm,
700 or 7,500. So one sponsor, 2 sponsors, 3 sponsors, 4 sponsors. So 25, excuse me, 5,000 and then 2,500. So we don't give away multiple tables. We only give one table. So 8
mm,
spots, 6 spots, 4 spots, and 2 spots. So they end
ah,
up filling their table after that, which is
mhm,
pretty awesome. We Our Facebook page has over, if you look at our restore page, it has over 16,000 followers. So showcase
wow.
them on there, and as well as the programs. And to clarify, some of the other galas that are happening have an
Mm,
entire hour-long presentation where you
mhm,
pull at the heartstrings, open up the checkbooks by telling the emotional stories, and then you do the MC of the night. We have a 10-minute at the very end of the night, and it's Jessica sharing a story about one of our home buyers and the process that they're going
mm,
through, and then she does a live ask, and that's the only time we ask for money
wow,
the entire night. Mhm.
wow.
Which
How did you find, I'm curious, how did you find the ROI in comparison, like this new event versus what you've done before? With the change of
Um,
the program, with the change of the concept?
uh, yeah, it's because we're putting less time and energy into
Mm,
it.
right.
People are coming to us to buy tickets.
Hmm.
People are coming to us to be
Mm,
involved with it.
uh,
For example, kind of want to touch. I know there are some questions that were audience submitted already, but really utilizing gift in kind. So when we did our Italy event, we partnered with Belgioso. So instead of them buying tickets or being a sponsor, they donate the cheese.
Mm,
So
mm,
that already is taking
wow.
away so much for takeaway bags, the big
Yep.
30 Parmesan wheel that they're cooking the homemade pasta in. Um, Same with some of our landscaping partners in the area. They're hoping to be featured. So as we're creating this flowerscape of
Mhm,
whatever it might be, so we're working with that, so that way we're not putting as much money out there,
mhm.
and we're taking those in kind
Yeah.
instead. Mhm.
And you touched on it, and maybe we can go a little bit more further because I think securing sponsors is definitely not an easy challenge, but it sounds like you were able to create a different partnerships that would serve, this event and others. So maybe can you walk everyone through your sponsorship strategy and how you work with the sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about gratitude. You have to be very grateful for them, especially thanking them, keeping them in communication of, and not really asking for um, hey, do you want to spot or like, hey, did you enjoy last year? We'd love to hear your feedback.
Mm,
We want to know what we could do different to elevate your experience. You're always looking
mm,
for their input as opposed to the ask, the ask, the ask. And also, the sooner the better. So this event usually takes place in April. This year, because of the draft, we had to switch it to May,
mm.
which good and bad, that's
Yeah.
great. Um, but so that means we're still having to work through all of get
Mm,
securing those sponsorships. So I try to bundle up those sponsorships as soon as the event is done for the following year. Everybody is doing their budgeting in October, November, but they're
mhm,
ready to go to have boards approve it come December. You can't be asking in December or January for a spring event. You
mm,
need to get it in their hands ahead of time so that way they know exactly who they're going to be asking and for or who's coming to them for when and where. The Packers get bombarded. Festival Foods, for those in Wisconsin who know what Festival Foods is, they get 100 asks every single day from
mm,
organizations.
mm,
So if the sooner you can get in there, the better. Um, so I like to have all my sponsorships, especially the bigger ones, so that
mm,
way I'd like to have them bundled up before fall.
mm,
And that way, once you're starting to talk about it, the save the date, it already has the sponsors on there. So that way they're already
mhm.
being featured before the invitation goes out.
Such
That
a
way
good point. Mm,
when you create the campaign, they're clicking on the website or on the Giveffect website, and they're already seeing who the sponsors are. Mhm.
that's right.
And because this is a higher end event, people are looking, how do I put this properly? Um, they're looking at a higher end. So it's a lot of wealth management
Mm,
because they know who the
mm,
clientele is going to be. If people are willing to spend $1,000 for a night out for
mhm.
themselves, they may have little donor potential
Right.
and wealth advisory potential. So you look at a different bracket.
And this is such a good point as well. Do you guys have any strategy in terms of, okay, so now you have this returning donors, you might have a new people joining your event for the first time. Do you have any strategy in terms of how do we turn them from one-time event attendees further along?
Yeah, engagement. It's 1,000% in engagement. A lot of it's word of mouth, to be honest with you. We're
Mm-hmm.
very fortunate that we have some great committee members and great, um, as we're talking with like these landscape art,
Mm-hmm.
and the cheat, like you're working with different people on these things. For example, one of the chefs is the chef at St. Norbert College. So he's bringing in the people who are the cooks and the chefs. Their people want to come and support them. So you're trying
I
to do
see.
the
Yeah.
longevity of keeping them involved. But um, again, the feedback and communication with them of not the ask, but the update is
Mm-hmm.
very important. That's how you just continued positivity for them.
Yeah, I love that. And I think we had a question there. How many years this event has been going on for?
Yep, this is our fourth year doing
Fourth
this.
year.
And every
Yeah.
year we love that feedback. We want to know what's working, what's not working. I think Italy. our bourbon and bluegrass was the very first year, and they
Mm.
had a cigar roller, they had bourbon tasting, they had a lady on a bike that was pouring wine. Like it came down, like it was fancy, like she was way up tall, and it
Oh,
had interactive wine windows where you'd go and knock on it, and the door would open up as if you were in Florence, and they'd hand you a glass of wine. So you keep it fun,
fun.
keep it different every year. New York, we had different suburbs, so every
Oh,
area was a different theme. It was just really fun. Just
it's so much
every year.
fun.
Yeah.
We have a logistical question for this event, right? Where do you host it essentially, and do they allow you to bring your own chefs?
Yes. So those are it's called a place, it's Gather on Broadway. It's just a unique banquet space, not huge, because you don't want to feel half empty when you're bringing a smaller, more intimate event. And we work with Chef Jill is on local TV stations, but we are working with other chefs in the area. So we're putting it out there to some of the different restaurants and some of the hotels, and they're submitting their applications, their
Mm.
menus for us to choose from. So that way
Oh
it's fair
wow.
for everybody. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think one question we had that I wanted to actually let's finish with it. The board does board assist with gathering sponsors or financially supporting the event? Oh, that's a good one.
So we just did strategic planning with our board members the other day, and I had a very humbling moment when one of them told me that every single board meeting I asked them for something, and it was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, I know one of the questions was, "How do you manage donor fatigue?" But talk about board fatigue as well,
Oh,
of constantly asking them, and I'm like, "Okay, how can I switch this around?" Um, but yes, our board does assist, usually their own organizations. They're looking to buy a table or
mm,
just, um, not always for sponsorship, but they want to
mm,
volunteer at the event because not everybody can afford a ticket who's on
right.
our board. So they would be somebody who's helping out, so they can do both things.
Mm.
And we don't expect them to purchase, but at least forward it along to the decision makers. Mhm.
Wonderful. Well, with that, I know time flies, and I feel like we can talk probably for an hour or two or so, but I want to make sure we are giving opportunity for everyone to ask their
Yeah.
questions, and I see questions are popping in. So for everyone, please feel free to keep adding questions in the chat or in Q&A section. We'll get to all of them. But I wanted to start off with one question that we received on registration form. It was so great. I want to make sure we address it. And Laura, the question was that if the person is new to their role and they're just getting started with fundraising events, right? So for someone who's just starting, what would be a number one advice from you?
Um, find a committee. It doesn't have to be a huge committee. It can be a small committee. Our second year, I think I had a committee of like 15 people, and I was like, well, this is way too many because everybody wanted to be part of
Mm,
it. And now I have a committee of two with a subcommittee. This can be anybody. I have actually it's somebody on the board at the Children's Museum. I have somebody who is
mm,
Live X, so they're a TV production agency. They help me with the media and the entertainment aspects of it. So I don't actually, while you can recruit your board to be part of the
mm,
committee, but we have a lot of organizations in the area who are trying to do philanthropic things, and it's volunteering their time. So US
mm,
Venture, I reached out to them and I said, is anybody looking to join a committee? We're looking for some entertainment ideas. We're looking for some
mm,
decoration ideas. Talk to your local organizations because they're really trying to get their younger
mm,
um, employees involved, and just a few hours a day, whether it's setup, tear down, or actually to meet with them. But getting a committee is going to be super important. They're going to end up doing the work for you, which is great. And it's
mm,
not all on you then. So when I met with our Ruby Designs, to go through linens and flowers, and if we're going to have a waterfall or what we're going to have,
mm,
it's them having the input, but keeping them on budget, of course. We are still a nonprofit, but involving them, people love being part of the process. So
mm.
it's really important. I had a committee when we did Repurpose for a Reason, and a committee on for for our
Yeah.
interactive culinary experience as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. All right, let's get to the other questions. So, Iman, do you see a better turnaround at those more like fun events that aren't so focused on habitat mission as opposed to events that are very focused on habitat mission and fundraising?
Unfortunately, yes. I hate to say that. We do get a better, everybody wants to participate on the build site, but it's always, you get some of those like, well, what are we doing that day? You know,
Mm,
like, are we framing
mm,
or are we doing landscaping, which is the better
mm,
photo opportunity? So when you get some of these bigger events of this nature, people, they want to have that
yeah,
fun interaction. So they can, when they talk about it, they want that Facebook post, they want to post it on their Instagram, and then, oh yes, absolutely, tag Habitat for Humanity. Mhm.
yeah.
Um, I just want to touch on this one, the next question. Any ideas on passive fundraising, looking for something year round?
Mm,
That is a great question, and that actually came up in our strategic planning as well, creating an a la carte for them. So what
mm,
we're doing in the process of, and again, getting this out September, October, so that way everybody can plan, other sponsors can plan, is creating a year-round packet. So here's what our women build, how much it is, and what we're looking for. Here is our rock the block. Here are the sponsorship opportunities. Here's all the benefits of being part of it. Here's our interactive culinary experience. Here's our
mm,
faith build. So that way they have it in one packet. They can take it to their board and say, I want this and this, and I don't want the rest of the stuff. So that way they can plan it out. And then you just remind them saying, hey, we're already in the planning of this, thank you again so much for being a sponsor, instead of, hey, did you see my invoice? Hey, where is that? Things of that nature. So just a nice, gentle touch of a reminder. But having that a la carte option, I've actually talked to a few banks and the Packers, and asked them for ideas, and they love that. They want something like that instead of the million asks all the time. It's hard to keep
100%.
track of at that point.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's good to know. How many events do you hold annually? Right.
Um, Not so many, to be honest with you,
Mm,
because it felt like we're continuously asking, how many
mm,
more times can I ask for like $3,000 here, 1,000 here, 10 here? So we really only do either build or work opportunities like Rock the
mhm,
Block or Women Build,
mm,
where they're on the build site. And then we do our interactive culinary experience.
mm.
So really it's our spring, and spring is our dinner, and then in fall is our
Okay,
Rock the Block. So those are our big ones. Mhm.
got it. And everyone, we have a couple more minutes, so if you have any last minute questions, please put them in. Judith is asking, how do you get sponsors if you have less people attending? Good question. Don't they
Yeah.
want lots of views?
Yep, and that's where it's becoming that intimate, because they know who the target audience is, and so that's why they want to be in front of them. So,
Mm,
and they, again, that's where they don't want these big sit down things, because they are maybe up on a table, or you get two tables, but you don't have that smaller reminder of that feeling. It's just, I feel like you're washed out when you have that many people and
mm,
they're tossing things away. No, I see where you're going with that, and I totally understand, but it is a more intimate, a selective who you want to
mm.
be in front of them.
And then I
Oh,
think,
you're right,
Larry, you
Kelly.
had a yeah, and then I think you had a good point that you are still, I think, to get exposure through emails, but also social media, like that big following that you have, right? You're still
Oh, yeah.
doing it on
I mean,
social
they're
media as well.
still recognized everywhere. So
Yeah.
like our programs that we do. So this was for New York. We did a
Yeah.
playbill, and they're obviously listed.
Hmm.
And then throughout the event,
Yeah.
there's certain things that they're focused on. So a lot of special items. Mhm.
Fantastic. All right. It seems like it's an exclusive event that people pay attention. I'm sure here are
Yes,
sponsors who want to love it. Yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. And I guess the
absolutely.
last question, still accepting last minute question if everyone wants to pop in the chat. But from me, I'm curious. Well, we're a technology company. So I am curious, how does technology play a role in any of the events? Like, what do you find helpful? What is like make your life easier when it comes to fundraising events?
Yeah. I will say, at our last repurpose for a reason event, Hannah, at Giveffect was on call, waiting for us just in case something happened. That was wonderful. Technology fails, you do have to have backups, but it's so nice to have it organized in one thing. And then, so that way I know who's attended. So in Giveffect, who's attended that campaign. That's how we made sure we got the invoice taken care of. And now next year, I can send it out to only the people who attended the previous years because we have them tabbed and marked in Giveffect. They get the first crack at it to buy tickets, and then we release it to the general public. So keeping it organized is so great in this chaotic life that we have. So keeping track and tab of that's a women build person, that's a long-term donor, but that is an attendee of these events. Let's make sure that they get exclusivity. So
I love
organization.
that. I love that segmentation, organization, like everyone talk about it, right? Like communication should be personalized, but it sounds like you guys really keeping track who was interested, attended what event. So now we can create that more personal email, right? Instead of sending several thousand people the same, hey, we have this event, come join us, versus like, we know you were there. It was so great to have you. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So we are on time. I think we're covered all the questions, and yeah, I think it was absolutely fantastic, Laura. It was so great to hear about your event journey from gala to auction. I mean, auction still part of the strategy, but now in the new view, now to this very exclusive and interesting event. Thank you everyone for joining. Just a couple of words from us. We are actually going to be in a couple of conference in this upcoming spring month. Unfortunately, not going to make it to your conference, Laura, this time around, but we'll try to do it next time. But Giveffect team, myself, I'll be in Rochester, Minnesota in April for Midwest Regional Conference. My colleagues will be in Portland for Western Region Conference in April. We're also going to be in Florida and Colorado. So we're really looking forward to get connected with more affiliates and sponsor those fantastic conferences. And, you know, if you have a conference in your state or region and you don't see yourself on this list, please feel free to email me. My colleague Tara will put my email in the chat. So please let us know. We would love to be a part of your upcoming event and conference as well. And if you ever want to learn more about Giveffect, again, you'll see my link in the chat. I would love to connect and share how we work with different affiliates and nonprofits across the country. And of course, I wanted to say, again, thank you so much, Laura, for joining us today, and for everyone to being here. It was a fantastic conversation, and I hope everyone have a lot of fun this year with events and have very successful fundraising throughout 2025.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes, thank you. It's so good to have you all. Thank you. We'll be in touch. See you soon. All right. Have a great day. Bye.